In my research, every organization eventually faces a time that reveals whether employee engagement is cultural or cosmetic. For me, that started on a cold Tuesday afternoon. I was in my office wrapping up for the day. I had just reviewed my presentation notes one last time before heading home for the day. You see, the next day I was scheduled to travel to Cleveland to speak at an HR conference. The organizers expected very strong attendance, so they asked me to speak twice, both Thursday and Friday. I was excited. And then the email arrived. It was brief and direct. You will not be permitted to travel and avoid large gatherings for at least 2 weeks. Yes, it was Tuesday, March 10th, 2020. I don't have to explain what happened during that time. I think we can all remember that time. There's been no shortage of research on COVID, the societal impact, the economic toll, and the effects on the way that we work. But buried inside all of that disruption was something unexpected. We learned something about employee engagement. And what we learned is this: employee engagement is an outcome, not a strategy. Yet for decades, we've treated it like a program. Gallup's been measuring employee engagement for well over 25 years. Between 2000 and 2012, engagement was pretty steady in the US, between 26 and 30%. Then it slowly climbed and peaked at 36% in 2020. And yet, through 2025, employee engagement fell to 32%. That equates to 8 million fewer engaged employees. And active disengagement steadily rose from 14% to 17% during that same 5-week period. So after decades of surveys, initiatives, dashboards, and initiatives, here's the uncomfortable truth. Engagement hasn't meaningfully moved. But there's another data set that tells another story, a little bit more remarkable story. Since 2008, Gallup has also tracked employee well-being. Using a simple statement, my organization cares about my overall well-being. In 2008, only 24% of employees agreed with that statement. That number fell to 21% in 2011, and then slowly climbed to 29% by 2019. And then something remarkable happened. In 2020, that number spiked to 47%. Now, in my opinion, 47% still isn't that great, but it is the highest number ever recorded. And just as fast as it went up, it fell. By the end of 2025, that number was 23%. Less than half what it was during the height of the pandemic. Thinking back to 2020, what kinds of things were leaders and organizations doing? Before talking about work, leaders were checking in on their employees. How are you? How is your family? Is everybody healthy? And how many of you received a care package at home from your employer? Or how many of you participated in a virtual happy hour with your colleagues at the end of the day? Or played virtual Pictionary during lunchtime? It was these types of activities and a genuine concern for employees that drove well-being statistics. Now, thinking about 2025, how many of those things happened? So here's the insight the data makes impossible to ignore. When employees feel that organizations and leaders care about their well-being, engagement rises. When that belief fades, engagement falls, which tells us something critical. If we want to improve engagement, we need to stop chasing engagement and start designing for well-being. I believe that starts with focusing on 5 core pillars of employee well-being. Managers matter much more than we admit. According to Gallup data, managers are less engaged than the employees they lead by about 5 points. Even more concerning, only 44% of managers receive formal management training. That's pretty scary. We keep asking managers to drive engagements without giving them the tools to lead or even to take care of themselves. Managers cannot support well-being if they are burned out, overwhelmed, or untrained. The good news? Research shows that simple management training can improve productivity 20 to 28%. Teaching managers how to coach, not just supervise, is one of the highest impact investments an organization can make. Purpose isn't generational, it's human. We often hear that younger generations need purpose and meaning in their work. Let's be honest, we all do. People want to know that their work matters. Leaders can support this by connecting daily work to the organization's mission. They can clearly show how each role contributes to customers, community, or society. And by encouraging employees to utilize their strengths, not just their job descriptions. Employees with a strong sense of purpose are 4 times more engaged and are significantly more resilient during times of stress. Growth and learning are non-negotiable. According to LinkedIn Learning, 94% of employees would stay longer at an employer that invests in their growth. Growth is well-being. That means leaders must clarify career pathways. They must hold regular coaching conversations. And they also need to provide access to learning, stretch projects, and mentoring. And we need to celebrate learning, not just outcomes. When people feel they're growing, engagement takes care of itself. Health and energy drive performance. Did you know more than 1 in 4 employees very often or always feels burned out at work? That's a staggering figure. At the same time, the American Psychological Association and Gallup found that employees who feel supported in their well-being are 3 times more engaged. And they are 2.5 times more likely to stay at the employer. Leaders can influence this by normalizing mental health and help seeking. They can encourage movement, rest, and healthy habits. And they can start designing work schedules and workplaces that restore energy rather than drain it. Burnout is not a personal failure. It is a systems issue. Autonomy and balance aren't perks. They are predictors. According to McKinsey, autonomy is one of the strongest predictors of motivation, and a very significant factor in reducing burnout. That means flexibility when it makes sense. In fact, Gallup data suggests that, data Gallup supports that less than 10% of baby boomers prefer all in-office work. That number is slightly less for us Gen Xers and significantly lower for Gen Z and millennials. Recent data shows that hybrid work is employees' first choice, with 70% consistently choosing hybrid work as their best option. And I believe the future of work is hybrid, but intentional. My ideal model assumes 3 anchor days where employees are together in the office. That allows for that collaboration. And 2 days of remote optional that offers that flexibility and a little bit of autonomy. These two balance both flexibility as well as that the autonomy and the connection. And at the same time, leaders need to model boundaries. We have a tendency to glorify being busy, but busy doesn't always mean productive. When somebody tells me they're busy, my comments are usually, are you busy or overwhelmed? And when do you think you won't be busy? Personally, I like to say I'm perfectly whelmed. For 25 years, organizations have chased engagement. We've measured it, benchmarked it, surveyed it, and debated it. And yet, it hasn't moved. Maybe that's because engagement was never the problem. Engagement is the scoreboard, not the game. The game is how we lead, how we design work, how much ownership, purpose, growth, energy, and autonomy we create, and how we care for people. During the pandemic, employees didn't suddenly become more engaged because of better surveys or a better program. They became engaged because for a moment, it felt like organizations and leaders genuinely cared. Let me leave you with this. The question for leaders isn't how do we increase engagement? The better question is, what type of organization are we creating? One where engagement is optional, or one where engagement is inevitable? Because when employees feel cared for, trusted, and invested in, engagement doesn't need to be managed. It simply shows up. Thank you.